for tuning in. My name is Coach Debb. You are a part of Reveal and Heal, the platform of Relationship Lounge. And I have the honor of interviewing this beautiful queen, Rhonda, and she is going to talk about herself. And in the humblest way, because she's going to share some things that people would otherwise want to be secretive about. But listen, when it comes to being free,
amen,
we're the first to tell it. So go ahead and share with the audience. First of all, tell us who you are. Who is Rhonda?
So, for those of you that don't know me, I go by the name of Rhonda Anita, formerly Rhonda Thompson. I am a overcomer of domestic violence multiple times, 3 suicide attempts, child abuse, and child sexual assault. I also am a mother of 2 amazing boys, one 27 and one 9, and I'm a new G mommy. I have experienced some things in my life outside of abuse. At an early age, I got involved with, I say the sex trafficking trade. Not that I was sold as a victim. I went voluntarily.
Okay, let's talk about that. But
you ready to get into it?
Yes, I am. Before we move into that, I want you to tell the people about 2 books,
okay,
because that part of this story is just going to be so phenomenal. I don't want to break it up. So tell everyone about these books here that you have. The first one, of course, is Don't Spill the Tea.
Yep, Don't Spill the Tea. This is my first book. It's a really, really good book. I poured my heart and soul into this book. It took me 15 years to write it, to get the courage to write it, because in this book, I'm telling some things that I've been through, some things that I've endured and overcame. But then I'm also helping the reader to understand why sometimes victims of domestic violence don't get out of the incident. I'm also giving you some tidbits on how to forgive, how to put back the pieces in your life, how to live an abundant life. I talk about self-love. I mean, this book is so rich, all of it in itself, but you're right, there's multiples to come from this book. And then it's a self-help guide to help you when you come in contact with someone who may be fleeing domestic violence. What kind of things do you guys need to prepare for to get that person safely out? A lot of times we hear people say, get out, but how? You have to do it in a way that is safe, that doesn't cause any more trauma to the female, male, the children, and everybody else involved. So I do give like a sample escape plan in that book. And from that book, earlier this year, I finished my next book called The Rebirth, which is a 28-day healing devotional for women.
And you can write,
literally. You can journal in there. So every day is a task. I may tell you to do something, self-care. I break up self-care and self-love.
So important.
Yeah, and people combine that. You ask people today, what does self-love mean? And they say, I get my hair done, I get my nails done. Oh, that's self-care. Self-love is setting boundaries, knowing that, I made a decision not to do this or not to be in that place or to not allow people to treat me like XYZ. So setting boundaries for your life is self-love. It's protecting yourself so that it doesn't deplete you of your value. It talks about something Joel Eckhart talks about, what's called the pain body. So the pain body is kind of, I call it in the book a spiritual parasite.
Okay.
It is dealing with past pain, and it's like this. I'm very visual, so it's like if you can imagine, hey Lexi, if you can imagine this bubble inside of you, and it rises up looking for attention. It'll bring up old things, old past hurts, and it's looking for cheerleaders to keep it alive. And how do you deal with that pain body? Because that pain body makes you relive your experience over and over and over again. it's like that thorn in your side, but instead of it, you being able to overcome it, you allow it to take you over. So I talk about the pain body. I talk about
so that's like a tolerance, huh?
Yes, it's a tolerance, but it's also a real person inside your person that's looking for attention, and it wants to stay in pain. It wants to keep you sad.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, that's that syndrome we was talking about earlier today. Now, tell me, what inspired you, first of all, for Don't Spill the Tea? What inspired you to write that book? That book is like, what, 10 years old?
No, it's 2016. So
okay.
2016.
All right, so what inspired you to write that book?
To be honest,
you said it took you 15 years to write it.
It took me 15 years to get the courage to write it. Because now I have to expose my truths. And some of these things, and it did happen where some things that I shared, people looked at me differently, and I had to say, well, it wasn't for you. It wasn't for you, but what really inspired me was I started Rose of Sharon, which is a nonprofit for domestic violence.
Okay, all right.
Every year we have a masquerade gala called Living Behind the Mask.
Okay.
And we honor those who overcame domestic violence. And when I first started, no one knew my story. They just thought I picked up a book and said, oh, I want to pick domestic violence as my community service work. And and so it was hard to relate to people, to survivors, to some of the honorees, because my voice was not going to be heard as an advocate if I wasn't able to share my own truth. So I said, okay, it's time to write this book. And so, yeah.
Oh, wow. I love that. And you know what? So many times we don't get the full deliverance of a situation because we hold back.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people always want to know, well, what did you go through? What brought you to this? Because they respect what you're doing more when you share your own story. So what inspired you to do the rebirth?
So the rebirth, once you expose all this, and you're right. The living behind the mask was a term that came up many years ago. I received a prophecy, and the man said, "You have many faces," and I was like, "What is he talking about?" Well, he was right. I was in this Christian world, and nobody knew anything I've been through. I put on this mask to make it look like, I had it all together so I can blend in and look squeaky clean like everybody else. But what happened was they lied to us, y'all. They lied. They said time heals all wounds.
Yeah,
it's not. Time doesn't heal all wounds. Deliberate effort into dealing with the pain, talking about it. God can't heal what you can't reveal. So being willing to reveal what you've been through, because we are overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimony. So to be able to get to a comfort place to say what I've been through. So after writing this book, there was an I was exposed.
Yeah.
And so now I wasn't in the pain I was during the journey to the book. But now I'm exposed, and it's like I had to put the pieces back together from that. And so that was a whole nother healing that had to take place. So when you live the experience, that's once. When you write the book, that's twice.
Another.
Then when you read it, that's 3 times.
It really
so
is.
I'm reading this book like, well, who is this?
Exactly.
It
It's like an out of body.
It was totally an out of body. But now I need healing. Now I need to believe and do the work of this Jesus that I believe in. And that meant creating a plan. Healing doesn't come by osmosis. I'm sorry, they lied to you. Healing comes by doing the work.
I'm trying to tell you.
Doing the work of forgiveness.
Yes, ma'am. Number one.
Yeah, for real. Forgiveness of others and forgiveness of yourself.
Absolutely.
I went through this breakup. Someone I love so much. Like, I was extremely in love with this person. I thought he was in love with me. But when we broke up, it triggered stuff from the past. And I was like, how do there was no abuse in the relationship.
At all?
No, there was no abuse. I felt love, but the ripping.
Not even mental, not even emotional.
Now that I
'Cause
look
you know
back
it's
at it,
different.
there was some manipulation.
I'm trying to tell you, baby.
There was some manipulation,
Yes,
and there
ma'am.
was
You don't
maybe
have
some
to- you don't have to
lying.
put your hand-
Right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, but it made me, it made me realize maybe I still didn't know who I was.
You were lost.
Yeah,
You really
yeah.
were.
I was just lost in a different way.
That's exactly
I
right,
look
love.
good on the outside.
Don't we?
Yeah. I look good on the
Story all
outside.
too familiar.
I'm speaking, I'm preaching,
Yes,
but I'm
ma'am.
bleeding inside.
And
I'm
we know how to
leading while
do
bleeding.
it.
Yes. Leading while bleeding.
Wow, that'll preach.
Yes. So, the rebirth was a process that I went through.
I love it.
Yeah.
And you talk about it now, I see something happening, girl.
So the rebirth, it's an acronym. So releasing every burden into a revelation that transcends hurt. There's a revelation in that hurt. And that when you get to understanding why, it'll make sense. And it'll be worth it. So.
Oh my God. Now I have to ask, did you found the organization before you wrote that book?
Yes. The organization was founded before both books was written.
Okay, so I got to ask because this is so rich. Mm-hmm. This is so rich, and you went through some healing stages when you wrote this book. So what was it? I know for me, in my nonprofit for victims of domestic violence, that was a healing for me to be working on other people as well.
Yeah. Oh.
So tell me, was that a healing for you? Because you started the organization before you wrote the books, and that's a breakdown of the healing. It's like you had to face a lot of stuff that you thought you were cool, that you just, So tell me about how was the organization such a benefit, and you were able to walk in a place of an advocate, I mean, I know because I've been there, but I want to hear your side.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't completely healed.
And that's it. I didn't know that I wasn't completely healed. And what the next phase of my life taught me, I actually wrote Don't Spill the Tea while I was going through my second divorce.
Okay.
And in my marriage, my son's father is a great dad. We just was not good for each other. And there was some abusive behaviors. And what I realized in the relationship, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in a marriage, and even though he's not beating me, I'm still in an abusive relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we went through this long 2-year separation. We were still together, but we were separated. And in that time, I started to gain my voice, because one of the things that he worked so hard at was silencing my voice because I was too loud. I'm an Afro-Latina. I'm half black and Puerto Rican, so I'm naturally loud. But he didn't like that. And so sometimes it seemed combative or things like that. So when
it was just strong and authoritative,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was doing the work numb, not really, definitely focusing on someone else helped me not to see my own stuff.
Wow.
But as I went through that divorce, I'm being
wow.
pulled apart, I'm being exposed, and now I have to face the very thing that I had been hiding.
Yes.
And so
I hear you.
the whole past got me to that marriage and then ended in divorce. To me, I didn't know who I was in that marriage. I didn't know who I was, when I was part of the sex trafficking trade. I didn't know who I was when I was in abusive relationships. And so this whole discovery of who Rhonda Anita is came through pain and triumph.
Did you cry a lot?
Oh, yes. I cried a lot, especially during this time of writing this book. Because, again, I had to dig up things that I had buried so long.
You had to.
I had to. And it took, trust me, this is not a glorious thing to do. It was not to bring attention to myself. I could live without the attention. I lived with it.
That was a healing for you.
Yes, it was.
By any means necessary.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you ever look in the mirror and like, who is this? Because you didn't look like it. So you had to see right through all of that. So did you ever look at that little girl, that young lady, and declare to her that she was still beautiful, that she was still worth it, behind all that other crazy? Or did you know her?
I don't think I did. Not until, maybe 2016 I started to
recognize her.
Yeah. But I never, I knew that I was pretty or attractive, or I had good fashion sense, but it wasn't something that, it didn't mean nothing to me. It didn't connect with me. It still didn't say that I love myself. I did not know what self-love was. I didn't know how to let that little girl feel what she was feeling and then grow up to be a woman. I just was a victim all the time.
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah.
And those are stages to coming to know what to do. You can counsel someone all day long, but Mr. Mark, when it comes to yourself.
Oh, for sure. You could pray for somebody all day long.
Right.
And then you get before God and you're like,
okay.
Girl, I love you, Jesus.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But one thing about that hurt and broken person being exposed, when you finally see that broken vessel, oh my God, when you finally see that broken vessel, that could be traumatizing. How was it for you when you finally met her? When you stripped her, when she was naked before you. I'm not talking about without clothes or anything. I'm talking about being able to really look inside.
Yeah.
You know
what? I've to be honest, I've been blessed. I've been blessed with voices of sisters that would speak to that little girl when I'm not able to help her up, right? I have friends that I can just be vulnerable with, and they will speak, and that will build me up. Oh, wow. So iron sharpens iron. Yes, I can't take credit that I did it all by myself, but with support, it helped me just one step further to learn and you know what? I'll say this. This is the first time in my life that I have never been in a romantic relationship. And to be honest, this is the first. I'm an only child, so I didn't have any siblings. I always wanted people around me. But this is the first time in my life that I am really content and happy with who I am.
Oh, that's beautiful.
With everything that I've been through. Like when I first started sharing my story, I would cry. I mean, there's a video out there now on YouTube when I really just told the story before the book was birthed. And it took us an hour to shoot a 6-minute video.
Girl, I've been there.
Because I kept crying.
Right.
I was like,
we still was messed up.
But I knew it wasn't about me.
No.
I benefited from the healing of it.
Yes.
But it was for someone else. Surely God didn't let me go through this for nothing. Surely He didn't. And my soul was always in anguish because there was something that nobody could feel. I didn't know what it was. So definitely serving. I have a servant heart. I can do that and not focus on me and still give you the best advice because I am the conduit with the Father. So He's able to pour down to me. He'll talk to a donkey. He'll talk through a donkey. So even more through me. So it wasn't that I was faking. I'm trained. I have training in domestic violence. I've been through it, So those things help sustain me in helping other people. But when it came time to look in my own closet, and then it was lonely.
Yeah. I know all about it. I'm just trying to see how you made it out a little better than I did, because it's like it took me a long time because I seen the ugly. I had to face the ugly. So tell me, what was it like for you growing up? You said you was an only child. So what was it like for you? Were you lonely? Did you witness domestic violence?
I had a very tumultuous upbringing. So my mother was my first abuser. She was undiagnosed with mental illness when I was growing up. So I forgive her, and I know it wasn't something that she did intentionally. She just was clinically sick.
These are familiar stories, though.
Yeah, they are. So my mom was my first abuser. My father molested me.
Was he your natural father?
Yes. And I know there was some custody battle where he tried to get custody of me, and he didn't get custody of me, and then our relationship just severed. It just stopped. I had great grandparents. I had great uncles. my family stepped in to help when my mom was in the hospital.
How old were you, though?
This was going on between 5 until I was about 13. So I'm like constantly rotating houses, and it was tough. It was a very, very tough time. And so by the time I was 13, I started drinking, and I became very promiscuous. This is when I started getting in relationships with abusive men. I always dated older men. And
now at this time, was your grandparents raising you? Had that been decided, or were you back and forth with your mom?
I went between my mom, my grandparents, and uncles. And at 13, I was with my mom. She was kind of mellowed out by that time. They find out she was sick. She was on medication. So things had changed during that time. She was at least on medication. And I got pregnant at 13. And I had a boyfriend who was abusive, and he cheated on me. And so one day I went in my mom's medicine cabinet, and who does this, but I counted her sleeping pills. It was 23, and I took them, and I went to bed and lay down. I didn't say anything to anybody. I mean, I was in so much pain by the time I was 13. There still was more pain to come, but by that time I was in so much pain. I did not, and here's the thing, I had great grandparents, but they could not be my mom and dad.
Right.
They could not replace that.
Right.
So I always felt abandoned. I've always felt like I didn't have parents, although I did. They just wasn't well at the time. When my dad molested me, he was alcoholic. So he later then cleaned his life up. Everybody got well, but the trauma of what I went through was still my story. And so so it was not a good childhood, but I still managed to run track. I was a cheerleader. I was a young athlete. I still managed to do some of those things.
So you were active in school. Now, I'm curious to know, after you took those 23 pills, you're here today.
Yeah.
So, by chance, someone went into your room.
My ex-boyfriend, the boyfriend at the time, came over, and my mom let him in, and I was laid out lethargic.
That was divine.
The same one who, would treat me horrible, beat me up, and go and cheat on me. I just had a miscarriage, and yeah, he was the one who saved
So
my
the
life.
27-year-old is not the one from when you were 13?
He came 2 pregnancies later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I just love how you made it. I love how you made it through. So now, did you remain at home with your family till you were 17?
So I stayed with my mom from 13 till I was 15. And I moved in with my grandmother. By the time I was 15, I was pregnant with my first son. And I then got an apartment, 16. I had 17. I was moving in my first place.
Did you graduate from school?
I did not. I dropped out of school, and then I went later on in life and got my GED, and then I got my bachelor's degree in 2014.
Won't he do it? Now, see what I was trying to do is lead up to the sex trafficking, because you had told me earlier you were 17.
Yeah.
So I was interested in knowing what your
happened.
growing up was that led you to, 17 is still very young. So how did that happen?
Well, by this time I had my own apartment.
Okay.
And so I had friends that were doing it. Some did have a pimp or had a trafficker, and some of us didn't. And I am so grateful that for whatever reason, God's grace, that's what it was.
It's sufficient, honey.
Yeah, he was protecting me way back then. And
pardon me, tell everybody that you didn't get picked up or anything.
Yes, no, I wasn't sold into the trade. When I say I was a part of it, there are young people going through these nightclubs, these strip clubs, and they're going into the back room. Some of them are forced into it. Back then we thought, well, you're gonna do it, you might as well get paid for it. And so but some of them, are forced into it. As we see today, we're seeing a lot about sex trafficking, and I was in the mix of it all. And thanks be to God, I never encountered a forceful situation. There were some situations I had to escape from that could have potentially become very dangerous. But God, he really did protect me. And then when I did get saved at 22, he flashed all those images back, showing
reminded
me
you of his grace.
Yeah, the whole time. And there was a shame, so fast forward from 13, 15, I get my own place. At 17, I start traveling. My son would go to my mom's or go to hey April. My son would go to my mom's or go to his godmother's house on the weekends, and I would catch a flight. DC, Baltimore, St. Louis, Indianapolis. I think those were the cities I frequent. And
why were you flying? Was this traffic?
It was quicker.
Mobile trafficking? Is that what?
Well, at the time, I wasn't forced into it.
Right.
So I just took a flight to get where I had to go. And sometimes we would drive across to Indianapolis or to St. Louis, but normally I took.
Why is that called trafficking if you volunteered? It's more like prostitution.
But what is it? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
That's why I say I wasn't forced. I wasn't sold into trafficking.
And these adults, they were fully aware.
Yes. Absolutely. And the women that I was going with, they were adults.
They were like madams?
No, they were doing the same thing. Some of them had pimps though, but I was sort of innocent. My name, y'all, I'm gonna tell my name, Lord Jesus. So my name was Brittany, and Brittany, I adopted that name because I was so young, and I wanted to. As convoluted as this sounds, I don't think I have never told anybody that. I've never told anybody that.
Well,
but
your friends, a lot of people.
The reason that I came up with that name was because I figured that men would know a niece or cousin or daughter, and they wouldn't hurt me. So that was my way of doing what I did, but still preserving some of my innocence. And it worked. Again, I did get in some situations where it's 3 females and it's 20 men in one house, and they've paid for us all to come there. And there was one time I ended up staying all night with somebody and had to leave the next morning because I saw the guy doing heroin. Now, I was still young, so I remember, the commercial, do drugs, your brain, your brain on drugs, that kind of thing. So I'm scared of drugs, at the time. So, and I had no clue where I was because I wasn't from that city. The trafficking part is because you're going across borders.
That's right, love.
You're going across borders, and that's what I did. I never say that I was sex trafficked, that someone forced me, but I was part of the trade. I was part of the industry. I was 17, and I was in places I had no business, doing things I had no business doing, and nobody knew. If I would have got killed, my family wouldn't have never found me because they never knew.
What was the pressure? Was the engaging? Was it the persuasion of drugs, alcohol? Was that an influence in any way, or the money to take care of your child or school? What was the influence?
For me, it was the money. It was the money. It was the money, and
you never paid any attention to the possibility that you could be killed.
Actually, I did. Me and a friend, we said that we will be surprised if we live to be 25. I really did not think.
But God. Won't he do it, sweetie? Yes, you are a living testimony.
I didn't think I would live past 25.
And you are a beautiful over 25.
Over 25. I got a little gray hair.
You're a G-mama. I ain't gonna tell him, honey. I ain't gonna do it.
Yeah.
But this is, wow. Now listen, you've got to talk to the young girls like yourself. Because see, if it had not been that you went through so much, if it had not been that you was looking for a way out, you were running, honey.
Yeah. I didn't know, you know what, and in my book I said, I didn't know how to mask the pain that I was feeling. You got to think, I felt abandoned. I was drinking to mask that. I was, having boyfriend after boyfriend who abused me to mask that. So then I thought money would fix that. Nothing would fix the void that I had inside. Jesus is great.
I was fixing to say, hey, come on
I didn't
now.
know God
Listen,
then.
I was about to say that.
I didn't know him then.
Yes,
I didn't
ma'am.
know him then. But
the fixer came later.
yeah, he. But you know what? He was there all along. He was there all along, and through my life as an adult, his favor is sufficient for me. I mean,
it's just remarkable.
It really is. It's all God. But yeah, I when I speak on sex trafficking, like if I go on a panel or something, there's this textbook of how it looks and things like that. But there's a generation of young people who had that same mentality as me, where they feel like they're looking at all the flash, they're looking at all of the money and the long hair and the fingernails and all that and think it's cute. And now we have twerking as a art form. But there's some argument of, I've had arguments with people where twerking came from, but I saw twerking. I don't twerk. I don't go to strip clubs. I don't go to pole dancing classes for exercise. I don't get involved in anything that resembles where young people are dying every day. And so, and I'm not saying all stripping nightclubs are doing this, but this is part of the industry. And then there's in the true sex trafficking trade or the industry where they're not in nightclubs, they're creating the atmosphere for men to come and enjoy. We're talking our doctors, our lawyers, our politicians, our judges, people of high places. There's a lot of money even circulating through Atlanta right now that helps bring awareness to sex trafficking. But I want to partner with organizations that are boots on the ground. Yeah. How do we get these people out? How do we get these kids out of this situation? Because talking about it is great. Shaking the bushes is great. But we leaving them behind. We're leaving them behind. Nobody is really willing to risk their life to go and help them. I'm not saying that I want to be FBI crawling on grounds, but whatever I can do to support that movement, I want to do. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few.
Indeed.
And so, we had some comments going on here.
What we got?
So we got William on here said, your transparency is going to help so many people.
Yes.
Blessings to you, my dear sister. My auntie is on here who was amazing. My auntie, when I was growing up, I will never forget this. So my mom, because of her mental illness, no one knew what was wrong with her. If you're still on, Renee, send me a heart. She gave me $3. Okay. And she told me to keep this as emergency money in case I needed to get out and go and catch a bus to go home to my grandparents' house.
Baby, that was a while ago.
I remember
Lord,
that $3.
Mercy. You know you can't do nothing with no $3. Oh,
I think it was for bus or something.
Yeah. Now that was so sweet.
Yeah, it was sweet.
I love you, Auntie, for that. Yeah. Now I do want to bring to your attention the scare that's happening today. Human trafficking, sex trafficking, organ trafficking.
Yeah.
What you're witnessing today, these people are not volunteering.
No. You have some though. You still have some. Now they're not volunteering to be trafficked, but they're volunteering to go into the industry. That's what I was saying.
Gotcha.
They're going willingly into these strip clubs. They're selling their bodies willingly, not knowing that they can write some checks.
So that's another part of it. But this body snatching.
Yeah, that's something different. Right.
And of course, we understand that this is like free labor. It's all kind of different stuff that's going on. The human smuggling, illegals, they want to put them and work them for free and all this. But it is huge what's going on with the sex trafficking and the human trafficking in regards to these young people. What is your take on it? How does it make you feel? These people are being, put into something that they have no idea. Let me give you an example. I was looking on Facebook, and it was a young lady that escaped someone. Mm-hmm. Did you see it? Mm-hmm. She ended up, I guess, getting pregnant. I don't know if it was from one of the ones that raped her or not. Did you ever get raped? No. Bless God.
I never was raped.
That's wonderful. Well, this girl, she was leaving work, mm-hmm. and got snatched. And when she got there, she seen others.
Yeah. It's so many stories, and because of me sharing my story, a lot of people have been sharing different videos and different things that's happening with the Uber drivers, with the Lyft drivers.
Girl,
there's
the church workers.
How about the Marines? 16 Marines got arrested last year for sex trafficking. So it's a lot. That's why I said we have to empower our kids.
Okay,
we have to talk to them at an early age.
Okay.
My son Dylan is 9. I start talking to him about domestic violence, about sexual assault, about a lot of these taboo topics mm-hmm. at 2.
Okay.
And I continued the conversation. The conversation just got more elaborate as we grew. But I need him to understand what's going on. I still want him to be a child, but he needs to know why he can't get in the car because someone has a video game that they want him to see. They're even using other children that are being trafficked to lure your children away.
Candy, they're using pets because children love mm-hmm. little puppies mm-hmm. and they love candy mm-hmm. and things of that nature.
Yeah, but it's not packaged always how we think. We think it's the boogeyman.
Okay.
And there is boogeyman doing it too.
Mm-hmm.
But the 17-year-old girlfriend who has trouble at home with her mom has a 18-year-old boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And the 18-year-old boyfriend is over time coercing the girl to leave and go with him. Run away, leave your mama. They don't love you. We'll get married and we'll have this great life. And the girl goes away and her family never sees her again. And he gets his cut. The girl is in the hands of the traffickers, and he starts preying on another girl.
On another one.
Right in school, and you wonder why the boy ain't graduated. But it's not even 18. We're talking 16. We're talking girls. Nobody is safe. Nobody is exempt. Your neighbor, your male, it could be anybody. So we have to always protect our kids by empowering them.
Okay.
And having these conversations about things that look funny, things that will feel funny.
Yeah, that gut feeling.
One thing that I know kept me safe is I had the spirit of discernment. And I always felt when it's time to leave or if I could stay. If I could trust you, if not. And these were complete strangers. But I had the spirit of discernment. I'm sure somebody else may have said the same thing and lost their life. But God graced me.
Yes.
So one of the things definitely is talking about it, having those tough conversations, empowering the children, being able to know that it's not just men stealing kids and taking them to men. It's everybody. So you can't just go and just let your kids go spend a night over at everybody's house. Or I was watching a movie recently where a girl was an orphan and there was another organization that came to the orphanage and the girl was graduating from the orphan. She was turning 17. She had to leave the orphan. Well, in the movie, they had this lady come and sell this dream of this amazing boat that she's going to live on, and she's going to get this great training and have a wonderful life as a citizen. Took the girl, met up with the traffickers, sold her off, and everybody at the orphanage thinking she's out training. And it just was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, there's so many stories of how these things are happening. And the best thing is to become educated, empower each other, share as much as we can about it, and partner with organizations that are doing the work.
So to the parents, to the men, the women, to the children, what is the conversation? Because the scare is widespread. So what is the conversation that everyone needs to have when it comes to being safe? Because I recommend neighborhood watches, town hall meetings. I recommend community watch. I recommend, a certain phone number that needs to be a one finger dial for everybody to, it's so many different things in my head that I recommend. But reasonably, tell me, what is something you can tell the people that they can start doing? Because I heard people say they ready to start screaming and hollering when anybody walk up on them. They don't care if, I'm telling you, that's the kind of stuff I'm hearing people say. Let somebody walk up on them that they don't know. They screaming to the top of their lungs. Mm-hmm. They're going to start this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I know of some families that are actually doing self-defense classes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know of families now that have tasers and mace for honey, they doing a whole bunch of things. Mm-hmm. And it's a sad day that it has to be done, but I recommend it, keep doing it. Mm-hmm. But because you've seen that side, to give them just a basic tip as to how to get up and leave, the house.
Yeah.
Because
and you said something really profound, because I've even said that this week to somebody, is that, we're getting to a place of living in fear. We don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that.
Because when you're living in fear, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes, but we do have to live defensively. And so being vigilant of your surroundings. Someone had gave a good, I think Egypt had gave a good analogy.
She did.
Of, watching vehicles with those sliding doors next to your vehicle. When you're getting in the car, kind of paying attention. A lot of times I even stopped a little girl. She was, walking. She had headphones on and she was looking down. Wasn't paying no attention. And I went past her and I bagged back and I said, "Sweetie, do you have sound in both ears?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "Take one out. While you're walking, somebody, perfect stranger." I said, "While you're walking, I could have opened my door, grabbed you in, and nobody would have even known, and you wouldn't have seen it coming because you can't hear."
See, it takes a village. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. We have to even do stuff like that.
Yeah. So we just have to live defensively, we talked about the car door thing. I talked to someone today about when you're getting in an Uber car, make sure the safety lock is not on. Check that before
Uber
you get
who?
Uber or Lyft, honey.
Girl.
The share rides, the cab.
No, ma'am. No more. No, ma'am. I'm done.
Yeah, but no. You gotta get around.
Look, I'm talking about me. I'm talking about.
You ain't talking about the other folks. It's not about you.
I'm over it. No, ma'am.
But people aren't Ubering, so send your location to whoever is your loved one when you're getting in an Uber, so they know what the vehicle looks like. Other things you could do. Definitely. I mean, we tell kids not to talk to strangers. Shoot, today you can't hardly talk to a stranger.
This is the South. We used to be so sweet. Hello. And now, as a woman of God, I'm just walking.
Walking talk to them. No.
Ain't that awful?
That's
It's like, Lord, please forgive me. I've got to do better. Okay. But it's important to use the spirit of discernment.
That's right.
Because you never know. You may be the only Jesus that someone sees, but I don't want to get caught up in the rift. I don't want to get caught up in that. And so on a serious note, it's important. Let's be a community. Just like Rhonda told that sweet little girl, she just la, 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 with the headset on her ears. Mm-hmm. And she could have been snatched and been gone. and paid no mind. Let's do those kind deeds. Let's do and keep going on about your business, so don't nobody call the police on you. But let the Lord lead you. Am I right about it?
That's right.
I've been told about cars barricading vans barricading cars on the highway even. It's so many different strategies that they're using.
Change your route sometimes.
There you go. Home. That's what I want you to talk about.
Don't go home the same way all the time. Go home at different times. Before you pull into your driveway, look around. Make sure there's no cars around. But, someone could be on the side of the garage. But you know what? If your state allows you to carry, get yourself a pistol and get that joker license.
Yeah, and self-defense classes. And get your mace and get your tasers, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's so many different things that you can do, and
what about
just
the phone?
shared a few.
The
tracking system.
Yeah,
I think we share too much on social media.
Come on now.
About where we going. A lot of times your location. Turn your location indicator off on your cell phone.
Tell them, honey.
When and there are people catfish you
yes
online, and you gotta do research these days especially if you're doing online dating. You gotta do your research to find out if the person is who they say they are. And even if they're not online dating, but you're just dating them, you still gotta do some research on them to make sure they are who they say they are. But turn that location indicator off on your cell phone. Make sure that when you're going places, post after the event.
Okay.
Take a video and then post the video. We go live and people know our location. So it's things like that we can start to do. But living in fear is not the answer, because you will mess up. You will mess up. You will not remember what you're supposed to do. When we want you to be defensive, we want you to be able to be armed with information and armed with tools if you have to.
Sure, you're right.
To make sure that you and your family are safe. Someone says, pay attention and get off the cell phones. Wait before you get out of your car. That's very good.
I totally agree with you,
Wait before you get out. Thank you, Marcia. Marcella, yes. Wait before you get out of your cars.
Is anyone asking anything over there? Is anybody asking any questions on the other devices? Okay, so let's come up with like a emergency kit. You know how we have to have an emergency kit for the car for different things to go wrong. What would be an emergency type kit that you could give to the people, because we're going to be signing off in a minute. So what would you recommend? Because remember, everybody has a phone. So I recommend that certain numbers are programmed so you don't have to dial the number. You could just hit a button, right? What other things that's reasonable that can help us to feel safe when we leave out, and us sending our children off, because teachers are impersonated. It's so many coaches, all kind of stuff. So is it a way for what can you do? Parents are scared. What can you do? What else do you have in mind?
Marcella said, distance yourself from people in public. Walk out of the mall in groups.
I totally agree with that. You need to be in groups. In the Bible, they all always went 2 by 2. I don't know what it is about people want to be alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another good tip. Walking in groups.
Yeah. I would definitely
escort somebody you see walking by themselves to their car to let them know you don't mean them no harm. They feel the friendliness off of you. You feel it off of them. It could be somebody pregnant or somebody with little bitty kids. That's it's like really you looking all pitiful. You got too many kids to be handled at the mall. You ain't got no business at the mall. No way.
Yeah. Put ice contacts in your phone. ICE in case of an emergency.
Okay.
So when you go to your phone, if it's your mom, your husband, whomever your loved one is, you can add the word ICE to their name.
Can you put, Marquita, could you put that in there? Could you go ahead and key that in for people to know that as a safety tip? It's just
a quick way to get to your contacts as well. Even if the phone is locked, you can, if you have an iPhone, you can say Siri, call ICE such and such, or but yeah, having an ICE contact is going to be, even if you were missing, the police can get your phone and they can get to your ICE contact.
So it's like an Amber Alert type thing.
Well, it's a way that anybody can get to your contact, but you want that in case something happens, that you have a quick way to get to that person. I mean, you know, and as a single woman, I'm gonna be honest, I probably don't tell people where I'm going all the time. But that I think is helpful.
I'm terrible with it. You know, my mom, my children, like, Mama, you need to say, well, I'm just not used to just, you know, I'm getting better. I'm telling you, I'm really becoming to be more alert the more I'm informed, the more I see so much that's going on. And I want to practice what I'm preaching. You know, I don't want to never think not one time would nobody come for me. You know, I don't want that to happen. So I'm so grateful that you joined me tonight. I'm so thankful for this candid conversation and your transparency. You have shared your heart, which is so very important. That is what Reveal and Heal is all about. We want total transparency because there are people looking for ways, looking for tips, and looking for answers and resolutions. They're right there at the break of making a decision, and I think it can be the story of yourself that could help them decide, you know? So, this has just been great. Does anybody that's watching right now have any questions for Rhonda? Because we're going to give the 1-800 number for sex trafficking and human trafficking in a short minute. So before we sign off, I need to know if anyone has any questions for her. If you're interested.
Yes, any questions?
Oh, let's talk about your book before we sign off. They need to know where to get it.
Okay, hold on. Let's say this real quick. Oh, RhondaAnita.com. Amazon. You can go to Amazon. You can go to Barnes & Noble's, Books A Million for Don't Spill the Tea. You can go to RhondaAnita.com for the pre-sales of The Rebirth. And the third book will be coming soon. But she said, I got to do some workbooks. So a couple of things I wanted to bring out. Donna Smith said, beware of your surroundings. We talked about that. Park in lighted areas. Very good.
I'm parking the handicap, and I'm not even handicapped. I'm telling you.
She's going to get a $500 ticket.
Like, Lord, I have the angels watching. I said, y'all watch, because this is where I'm parking.
Get security persons if you don't feel safe. Trunks have release buttons, and they have glow in the dark.
Okay.
So, Marcella, what do you mean? Trunks have release buttons, and they have glow in the dark. Please tell me what you mean by that.
And those emergency kits I was telling you about, the flashlight.
Oh, you go ahead. Yeah. Flashlight. So what we gonna do with the flashlight?
Girl, turn
walk
it.
With it. Walk
yes,
with
ma'am.
It like, okay.
Yes, ma'am. You gonna be doing this?
So walk it out.
Listen.
Walk to your car with the flashlight like this.
Who
like
cares?
That's right.
We think you crazy.
Get rid of the fly. We keep the flies away.
Talk loud, even, honey. Let me
I'm
say
loud.
You done lost
Yes.
your mind. It's like, you know, call on Jesus.
But no, really, like when you're walking, you gotta constantly be doing like this.
Ma'am.
And stop being on the
ma'am.
phone while you walking, going places. Like,
please say that.
Put that phone down. I will call you. I'm walking out of the store. Leah said, when you open the trunk, there is a release tab that has a glow in the dark green color.
I never knew that.
What vehicles, like what year vehicles have the glow in the dark? I don't think mine have one. I have a
Is it the newer car or the older one?
Yeah, Leah, do you know what year vehicles started doing that? Okay. So Marcella was saying if someone throws you in the trunk. Okay, good to know. Very good information.
Jesus.
See, I ain't been in no trunks, but I got folks that know about it. Trunks are designed with escape release in case people get locked in glow in the dark. Nice. Okay, she has a dark shower. Okay, so that's really, really, y'all, thank you for that information.
Yes.
That is really good.
Yes.
I never knew that.
Yes, I wasn't
never
aware.
knew that. So if you get in the trunk, don't panic. Look for the release. Hey, if you got to be flowing in traffic, that is some excellent information. Thank you all for sharing.
Well, do your best not to get caught.
Don't
period,
get in no trunk.
These vans that they got, they don't have locks on them. You know, they're totally, these vans don't have a way out, period. So you definitely don't want to get caught, period.
Most newer cars, Nissan Sentra 2018, Dodge Charger 2005. What about these vans and these older vehicles? But you know, most newer cars. Okay, thank you. So that's good. Any other information, y'all, we can share about ways to keep safe? I was stupid, so I wasn't safe. I just had the Holy Spirit to keep me. But do some research though, for real, guys. Do some research, and again, we don't want to operate in fear, but we want to be equipped and ready to navigate. We want to live our life to the fullest until it overflows. We want abundance. We want to have joy and peace. Our society has some issues, and all we can do is the best we can do, and that first is by educating ourselves and empowering our children to do better.
Okay, one last thing I want to mention, because I want your take on it, the organ harvesting, the organ transplanting, because I've heard so many different stories.
Okay.
And just tell me what your take is on it.
So this is my theory. I've seen a lot of videos. I've read a lot. I've seen people show the cost of certain body parts. Organ stealing is happening.
Yeah.
It is happening.
In high demand.
And here's a little tidbit. Some may not think what I'm saying is true. We got just a couple of minutes. Do not put organ donating on your driver's license.
I'm taking mine off.
I believe that there is a connection with your medical records and you have an organ donate on your driver's license. With that being said, if someone wants this young, warm body, it probably won't mind no more. But if they do, they have a list that they can pull. I mean, there's conspiracies that's happening all the time.
Ma'am.
We're not talking about a pie in the sky. And a lot of. I was talking to my good friend Dr. Lexi earlier, and I was saying I really believe that a lot of sex trafficking, they sell their bodies for sex, and when they get to a place of being abused and drugged out and all that stuff, them organs going next.
I believe it.
Then we never see our loved ones again. We have kids that are missing, that they have left the extinction of this earth. They never came back, but at least that we know of at this point. But I really believe that through that sex trafficking trade, not only are they selling for sex, but they're stealing their organs as well. Maybe not all of them, but some.
Well, you have it, y'all. Listen, it's got to be a continuation. I got to hurry up and get these dates out of the way. In Cartersville, Georgia, there's a community dinner this Saturday at 11 a.m. It's the 19th annual Feed the Community. I think that's going to be at the New Frontier. Of course, December 15th, there's December 15th, Love Travels is doing a second annual charity basketball tournament. Please go to the Forgive Families Facebook page and find out what they're doing for the for anyone that needs, I guess, food, or they're doing something for the community for Thanksgiving, I think. But go to their page and see.
Whose page was it?
That's the Forgiveness Family on Facebook. Listen, y'all, it is so much material. First of all, let me go ahead and get the 800 number out for human trafficking. Please call 1-888-373-7888. Somebody go ahead and key that in. Again, the number is 1-888-373-7888. You can also text HELP, HELP, to Be Free. And those numbers for Be Free is 233-733. Text HELP, HELP, to Be Free. And those Be Free numbers are 233-733. The email, of course, is also help@humantraffickinghotline.org. I'll say it again. The email is help@humantraffickinghotline.org. And there's a website. The website is www.humantraffickinghotline.org. Again, it's www.humantraffickinghotline.org. And that's for anyone that is needing help or in trouble. I do want to thank my amazing guest, Rhonda Anita, for being here today. It has been, I'm so full and I'm not ready to go. But I just want to remind everyone out there to love yourself, love everybody, and be an example. Good night.